Welcome to the Millionaire Mindcast, where we broadcast weekly interviews with millionaire minds from across the globe to empower you on your journey of unlocking a rich and fulfilling life. It's time to unleash your millionaire within. Now, here's your host, Matty A.
Welcome into the show, my brother, Rob Dial. What's going on, man?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me. It's been a long time. I feel bad because I wasn't trying to put you off, but I'm just never here to record. And I don't like crappy audio, you know, so I want to make sure I was with my mic.
I hear you, dude. There's only a few people in my lifetime that I've had to chase after. One of those is my wife. One of them's Rob Dial, man.
Man, everybody has to chase me. It's you know, one of the reasons why I built an online business was so I could travel. And so with that means that I'm not usually at home too often. And so usually I want to make sure if I'm recording something, it sounds good. I'm also a really big audiophile. So if I'm traveling, I don't want to record something through like my headphones or something like that. I want to record it on a good microphone, you know?
No, that makes total sense. And dude, you've been all over the world. I mean,
yeah.
How many countries have you been to? How many states have you been to? I mean, you are...
About 26 countries, I think I've been to.
Okay.
And you know, the reason why I wanted to start an online business was, number one, I knew what I truly wanted to do, which was help people. And then when I realized I could take that and turn it into an online business, is when things really started exploding. And then, you know, it's allowed me, my girlfriend and I left the country for 6 months in 2017 and we were completely out. And then we stay usually, I'm usually in Austin about 40% of the time, which is where I live. I usually just call the place where we live my, you know, really expensive storage unit because it houses all of our stuff. But yeah, man, I'm all over the place and I love to travel. It's part of, you know, what I think I really love to do most.
Well, it's amazing because I think so many people have that dream and that desire to pair their passion and their business with the lifestyle. And you've done it that at a really high level. I know we're going to dig into that. And everybody knows that. Well, if you've been living under a rock, then you don't know who Rob is. If you're on social media any bit or you like podcasts, you know, Rob has an amazing podcast, the Mindset Mentor podcast, 2 million followers on Facebook, 1+ billion video views. And we're going to be talking a lot about social media today, but for maybe the people that don't know who you are and kind of how you transitioned into taking this dream, this vision into making it a true reality. Where did it all start, brother?
So the way it started, where I guess I usually pick up is when I was 19 years old, I started selling these things called Cutco knives, which, you know, if anybody knows about Cutco, it's one of the best trainings in the world because it's really freaking hard. It's basically going into people's houses when you're 17, 18, 19 years old and selling them knives. So, you know, they recruit about 40,000 people per year. A couple of them stay. I was one of the ones that stayed for, you know, a few years. I opened up an office for them when I was 21 years old. Wow. You know, it was 2 months after I turned 21, I moved to Pensacola, Florida, opened up an office for them for the summer, closed it back down, went back to school, and then decided to drop out of school to be, you know, doing that full time. And, you know, recruited over 2,000 people and taught them how to sell knives. And then, you know, it started there. That was where my personal development journey, I really got obsessed with it. Then I left there because I had burnt myself out. I was working about 110 hours a week and, you know, started doing some sales coaching. And then it was 2015. I really got to the point where I was just sick and tired of doing what I was doing. And I knew that, that I really wanted to coach people because that was the thing I loved the most about Cutco was it wasn't the knives, even though the knives were amazing. It was that I love standing in front of people and teaching them stuff on personal development. So started the podcast 2015 and did pretty well. You know, I hustled to get the message out there and I put it all over Facebook and got it out to people. And then what happened was about midway through 2016, so about a year into it, I had my own business and I was doing a couple, you know, to about $200,000 a year off of my podcast and the business that I had started from it. And I kept telling people, like, they'd be like, what are you doing? I was like, I have a podcast and, you know, I run a coaching company from it. And they're like, well, what's a podcast? Because podcasts literally 4 years ago are not what they were then.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Like it's completely different. So a lot of people didn't even know what a podcast was. So I thought to myself, if I'm going to run a business, I should probably go where everybody else is. And at that point in time it was Facebook. And so I became really obsessed with getting my message on Facebook and then how to create a viral video. And I hate social media, but it's a means to an end. And I was like, if I'm going to get my message that I truly believe in, I'm going to do everything that I possibly can to get this message out. And so took about 8 months before I had my first viral video. And then once I figured out, what my message was, what I stood for, who I wanted to represent, it really started taking off from there. So that, and, now it's just like a rocket ship and I'm just trying to hold on,
It's amazing, man. How big is, because you're outside looking in, your presence is massive, right? And I want people to understand maybe how big or how small a team can be and still have that flexibility and that portability to live that lifestyle and do what you're doing at the level you're doing it at all around the world, anywhere in the world.
Yeah. So it can be one person if they really want it to be. So the way it started off was just me. I had at least a little bit of knowledge of film because I took film classes when I was in college. So I kind of understood the lighting and how to make it look at least decent, and then what happened was I started going and getting VAs to edit stuff for me so that I could get more videos done. Cause I realized that I hated editing. Like I just don't enjoy it. It's not something that I love. There's a couple of things that I love to do and then I hate doing everything else. So I like creating the content. I like shooting it, all of that stuff and being the creative side. But when it comes to anything else with editing, posting, any of those types of things, not my jam. Like I just don't want to do it. So I have, basically I have more people under me now, but somebody could do it with 2 people if they really wanted to. They could do it with 1 person if they really wanted to. If they could do it, first off, they could do it themselves if they really want to. If they want to get more advanced, they want to have it, more, hey, step away. You could have somebody that could edit your stuff. And then what I think is most important is that if somebody really knows social media, that they have somebody do on social media. So it was originally me and one other person. The majority of my growth from the very beginning came from me and one other person. Now it's myself, that other person, and there's a couple of people that are under him for social media. And then I have my own marketing team that's under me as well. And then I also have a full-time videographer that works for me now as well.
Nice. And he's cruising around with you, traveling, doing all the fun stuff?
Yeah. Well, no, not necessarily. So she's here in Austin and she will shoot the videos. So what we're doing now is we were doing a lot of, talking directly to camera. We call talking head, just me talking directly to camera. What we've transitioned to is lots of actors. And so what we'll do is I bring my cameras with me whenever I travel. We'll get on the phone and we'll do every Monday a strategy session. We'll decide what videos we're going to shoot, what the script's going to be, how many actors we need, what they need to wear, the vibe. Like it's full production. And then what she does is she then gets the actors, she gets them in place. Scripts are already created. And then she will shoot the entire thing. If I'm in town, I help her shoot. Like yesterday, we shot a video that one of probably my favorite video we've done so far. And that was, literally in my office, we shot it. Most of it was in my office. And then, if I'm out of town, then I will just shoot the ending part. That is just the summarization of, the lesson to pull from that video. So we don't have to be in the same location anymore, which is the best part.
That's awesome.
When I was out, it was slowing us down. And then we decided, we kind of got this flow that works really well now.
That's amazing, man. Well, as you know, and a lot of people who listen to your show as well, I know are entrepreneurs and business owners and people that are looking to build big lives. And if you guys haven't checked out Rob's show, be sure to check out Mindset Mentor podcast. And we'll include all the links, any resource that we talk about in the show notes at millionairemindcast.com. A lot of people kind of have this mission or this message. They want to break away from whatever, job or career or model they're kind of operating within and maybe are more enticed to shift and are pulled and gravitating towards something like yours. And I know one of the things that you do is work with people all around the world and teach them how to build and monetize a message and a following. Yeah. What do you see most people who are trying to do this right now? Because it's becoming a very saturated, very crowded space. What do you see so many people messing up on right now?
Oh God, how long do we have? The main thing that I think that people mess up on, because, my thing is that my wheelhouse that I know that I'm best at is teaching coaches, like wellness coaches, fitness coaches, mindset coaches, any of those types of coaches of how to grow their following and then monetize it. But one of the things that I find that's the worst is if you watch any of my videos, I've never made a video that has a call to action besides please share. And so I've seen a lot of people that are salesy or marketing background. And for me, I came from a sales background, but the issue with that is that I never wanted to seem salesy. Whenever I sell, I'm very low key, very laid back. What most people do is I've seen some incredible videos, but then at the very end, they say, hey, if you want my 37-page ebook, go, click the link down below. And that right there will immediately turn people off.
Mm-hmm.
And so my thing has always been, I'm just going to put out a message. For me, it was never about the money. What's cool about it is and people will hear it and it sounds cliche as hell. And I understand where it's like, if you just follow your passion, the money will follow. Like that's real. Like it's 100% real. And so for me, it was just like, even when I started the podcast, everybody asked me, how are you going to monetize it? How are you going to monetize it? How are you going to monetize it? And I was like, my thing that I said to everybody was, I'm just going to be like Facebook. I'm going to grow as big as I possibly can. And eventually money will come in and I'll figure out how to make the money. And that's what Facebook did. They became $1 billion company. So, well, more than just $1 billion company. And so the thing for me is that I make my videos and I never ask for anything at the end. I see it as I'm going to put the message out there. And if anybody wants to escalate and maybe buy something from me later on down the road, they're already in my network and then they can buy from me. But my goal is to make content that changes people's lives. If you look at how many customers I probably have a few thousand customers. I don't know, 10,000 customers. I've got 2.2 million people that follow me. Like if you're doing, the numbers, that's a very, very small number.
Right.
But the thing behind it is like, I don't care. It was never the point to go out and make money. And so I think that the main thing that they mess up on, if I notice the most, is that they'll make a really good video. And then what they'll do is they'll just, try to push them to something that just seems salesy. It's like somebody, hitting on you, and then you realize that they're hitting on you just for your money. And you're like, screw you, dude. Like, why, like for this chick, you're like, why are you hitting on me just for my money? Like it seems insincere, I guess is the best way of putting it. You want someone to be interested in you. And that's the exact same thing. If I'm putting a video out and I'm trying to impact people, I want them to be like, oh yeah, like this person understands me. Not this person understands me, I'm connecting with this. Oh God, now they're trying to sell me something. Just another marketer.
So as you were kind of climbing to where you're at today, what were some of the things that you did consistently that you felt were a part of your recipe for success?
I never have missed a podcast episode. So I have 3 episodes a week that come out. So it's been, over 4.5 years now, 726 up. I think today was actually 727 episodes. I've never missed a podcast episode. Yeah. And that's the thing is people don't realize it's like it's literally like I was just teaching this one in the groups, like the compound effect, right? Like Darren Hardy talks about it, just doing the little things all of the time. And for me, it was just like, if I'm going to do this, I'm not going to miss it. And I've had times before, no joke, where I schedule inside of, to go out, and for some reason something messes up and it doesn't go out. 10 o'clock in the morning, I'll get 2 or 3 emails from people like, hey Rob, are you okay? Because they're waiting for, like, they're expecting it. And I've realized that if I don't put it out, I'm letting people down because people are waiting for that to come out. So I would say for me, the biggest thing has just been consistency with it. Like and the reason why is because I heard an interview with Jared Leto like 5 or 6 years ago, and he was being interviewed by somebody. And for those guys that don't know who Jared Leto is, like he's an award-winning artist as far as like a musician, but also at the same time as an award-winning actor as well. And one of the things that he said that helped him be successful is he realized that most people never start, and as long as he starts, he's already ahead of 99% of the people.
Right.
And then most people give up. So as long as he just doesn't give up, he's ahead of 99.9% of people. And so my whole thing was like, I'm just going to keep doing this. Like I was doing, my podcast was, it did well. Like it did well by numbers for 3.5 years. But then up until the past year is when it really exploded. So it took 3.5 years of consistent work, 500 episodes, whatever it was, before it was like, boom, and it took off.
Yeah.
And I think that's the tipping point. People just got to work towards being consistent. And I think for me, that was my biggest key to success with putting anything on the internet. Also, I put out videos every single week. So every single Tuesday, 8 a.m., videos are coming out. So it's like just being consistent.
Training your customer or your audience to know what to expect from you and when to expect it from. Right. That's something I know for me. My brain goes to certain brands and things over and over again because I know when to expect it and why. And I know
it's kind of like if you're traveling, man. Like I like Chipotle, and it's not my favorite thing in the world anymore because I've had it so many times. but I know Chipotle is going to taste the same no
It's
matter
going to
where I am.
deliver.
And I'm not even a big fan of Starbucks, but I know what the flavor tastes like. So, cause I love coffee, right? So if I go to a place, sometimes I'll get coffee, be like, damn, it's a really good cup of coffee. But sometimes I go to a coffee shop, I'm like, I don't feel like that was a good cup of coffee. Like sometimes Starbucks, I know what I'm going to get. I know it's going to taste like, even though it's not my favorite, I know what it's going to be. No matter where I am in the world, it tastes the same.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
a great
think that
point.
that's what people want. No, they want consistency. They want something they can rely on.
Yeah, one of our mutual friends, David Osborne, always says repetition is the mother of all success, and
That's right.
I think that's the hardest part for a lot of people is they get bored, or that unknown, or they pull the rip cord,
Yep.
and the
Too
parachute hit that panic button too soon. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's probably until the last year the podcast was doing great, but
Mm-hmm.
now it's really starting to explode and expand. And man, there were many times where I literally was like, why should I keep going? And going back to why I'm doing it obviously was a big part of continuing to do that. A lot of people, burn out, right?
For sure.
How have you built up this stamina for what you're doing and why you're doing it? And what do you say to those people who are going, man, I'm just grinding so hard and I'm feeling burnt out?
Can I cuss on this? Can
Oh,
we
hell
cuss?
yeah. Come on, man.
Okay. All right. If you feel burnt out, you really don't give a shit. That's what I think. Like I'll be honest with you. When I was in Cutco and I burnt out, the reason why is because I didn't give a shit anymore. Like I was working so hard to become number one. When I got to number one, I realized it wasn't as fulfilling as I thought it was. And so I just didn't care anymore. And so I was like, I don't care. So my office went from killing it to like, okay, to not doing so well. And so I left because I just didn't care anymore. But at this point, like, I think that I always say this to people, the key to success is to work your ass off. And the key to working your ass off, and you can do it, you can work your ass off at something that you don't love, but you're going to get burnt out. But if the key to success is working your ass off, the key to working your ass off consistently for a long time is to absolutely love what you do. So what I do now, man, like I would do it anyway. Like, literally I was looking up this morning at how I can go to this meditation place that's, for a weekend that's right down the street from me that I just found out about. Like I'm into the mind and pushing my own mind. We were just talking about psychedelics right before we started this. I don't do psychedelics for my podcast, but it gives me great content for my podcast. And because of the fact that I'm just obsessed with the human mind, and I happen to be my own guinea pig. And so whether it's reading or going to conferences or talking to people who are really into expanding their mind or their consciousness, like what I do now, I would still be doing even if I didn't make any money off of it. The only difference is I wouldn't be talking into a microphone or I wouldn't be talking to a camera, but that was the only reason why I started. It was because I felt like I had so much knowledge that was inside of me that would help people. I felt obligated to actually teach it. And that was it. I felt it was an obligation is really what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you know something, and talking about psychedelics and talking about some of those things, right? Once you know, you can never unknow it, right? And then it just becomes a choice of, are you in congruency with who you are and what you're, at least what you feel you're here on this earth to do, or out of alignment from that. And that friction, that rub, or that flow can make all the difference in one, how you perform in business, but just how you enjoy life and what comes into your world because of that.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's it, man. I think that's the secret. And, I've seen a lot of really successful people get really burnt out, and there's a lot of people, I know a lot of people have a lot of money. Like I know a lot of millionaires.
Yep.
I know a lot of really unhappy millionaires. I know a lot of I know of extremely unhappy billionaires, right? So money isn't the thing that brings them happiness, but they got there because they were just working their ass off for this thing and they continue to keep pushing. And so for me, it's like, how can I continue to keep growing financially while doing something that I love and feel like is actually right for other people?
Yeah.
And I think that's how you get to burnout, is if you're not doing something that you absolutely, truly love and you're passionate about.
And when you hear people say money can't buy you happiness, right? And I've gone back and forth on that a couple of times because I'm like you, I want to make as much money as I can. I know that it's a tool and a resource and a platform that gives me more options, of course, for myself, my family, and the people and the causes and the charities that I care about. But there's true, feelings on, I feel a lot happier when I got a lot of money flowing into my world. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the phrase should be changed to money doesn't fulfill you. That's what it should be. Cause money wasn't actually like, here's the thing. Like I've got, I make good money. Things are great. I don't, have to work or do anything for a long time. But it's funny because once you get to a certain amount of money in your bank account, it's just digits,
Yeah.
and you realize that it's just digits inside of it. I think that I've done some things that have made me really happy with having money, which is great. Like it's being able to travel and do things I've never done
Right.
before, buy certain things, and it'll make you happy momentarily. And I think that money can make you happy because happy is a fleeting emotion, but fulfillment is something that is consistent all the time. And I think that, if you're looking for being 100% fulfilled in your life, money's not going to do it, because I still feel the same that I did before I had any money in my bank account. Right.
Yeah.
I feel better. I feel like I'm in a much better place as far as mentally, physically, all of that stuff, not just financially. But I still feel like the same person. I
Yeah.
don't feel like anything's changed.
So-
So I don't think it will fulfill you.
So you obviously did a lot of work though, right?
You've done a
Because
lot. Yeah.
you've done a lot of work on yourself, and that's one of the things that I know there are a lot of things that can come out of, whether it's meditation and that spiritual practice, whether it's psychedelics and retreats and things like that. That's part of one of the main reasons over the last 10 years I feel like I've done a lot of work. I've been in a lot of workshops, I've been in a lot of events, a lot of masterminds. And then it was the end of 2018 heading into 2019. I was like, man, I put in a lot of work on myself. I've created space to do that work. What's next? And psychedelics have always kind of been some part of my life experimentally. And they've also unlocked some of the greatest ahas and transformations mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally in my body that I just couldn't get to consciously. Why did you explore psychedelics, and when did you start exploring the mind, and then when did it lead to maybe starting to explore psychedelics and other things?
So I started exploring the mind, and that would have been 2006. So I was 19 years old. It was 2006, and I did psychedelics. The first psychedelic that I ever did was ayahuasca, which was May of 2007. So I had been hardcore into personal development for 11 years. And I feel like it's funny because I'll listen to a lot of stuff. I still listen to a lot of stuff, and my girlfriend would be in the car with me and she'll be like, "Oh my God, that was so good." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I've heard that before. I feel like I've heard everything in the personal development space at least 1 to 10 times.
Yep.
And so I got to a point where I was like, I feel like I've kind of hit the peak of personal development. And then the next thing was like spiritual development. And I always tell people, it's like with personal development is like, it's like the phrase, when you're in the jar, you can't read the label. Like most people are living their lives inside of the jar, and they never take themselves out and actually read the label to see what's actually the patterns that they're stuck in, the habits, the things that are holding themselves back. When they get into personal development, they kind of every once in a while will take themselves out of the jar and read the label of their lives. When you do psychedelics, you realize that there's another freaking jar that you're inside of that's a way bigger, more intense, more complex one. And you're like, holy shit, there's so much more of this that I had no clue existed. So for me, it was like the next thing where it was like, I feel like I've gotten as much as I possibly could, but I still feel like there's another level for me to get to as far as, mentally, physically, spiritually, all of that stuff. And personal development was real big. I feel like I kind of capped out most of it. And spiritual development was something that was not really there. And for me, like, I'm not, at the time that I did it, I was semi-atheist, I guess. Like I had been raised Catholic, stopped going to church for a long time, went back to church by myself, played guitar in church for 2 years, left that church. And I was like, yeah, maybe when we die, we just become worm food. And it's actually not, nothing really happens. And then I felt like I should do some psychedelics. And I did psychedelics once, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, this makes so much sense. And then I like went down this, now I'm down this whole spiritual path, like it's changed my life in a lot of different ways. And for me, man, it was just like the next frontier, I guess you could say.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's one of those things too. After the first time I did psychedelics, it was that someone just unlocked a part of my brain that you couldn't have explained it to me and I would have never believed it
Right.
until you experience it. It's kind of like the cliches, right? The cliches are the cliches because they're true, like most of the time, right?
Right.
So how are you creating more space for you to continue? You said you're somebody that I know puts in a lot of work on themselves and really all areas and all pillars of life.
Yeah.
Hey, let's take a quick break from this episode. We'll continue in just a second, but first, let's hear a word from our sponsors. Are you ready to quit talking about your real estate investing goals this year and start taking the necessary actions to make them a reality? If you're truly serious about leveraging the vehicle of real estate to build wealth, to generate passive income, to unlock financial freedom, then working with a coach is the missing link. If you want to avoid the mistakes that most people make, you want to accelerate getting the results, you want to shorten your learning curve without having to figure it all out on your own, then sign up for a free discovery call with me today to discuss how I can help you getting there. You can do that by texting the word mentor to 844-447-1555 to set up a call time directly with me. I will be working with a few committed investors, serious investors who are ready to take their real estate investing goals to the next level this year by giving them complete access to myself, my team, my network, my resources, and all of my business systems. And if this is something that you are interested in, don't wait. Set up a call today. Text the word mentor to 844-447-1555. What is your cadence? What does your routine look like? How are you continuing to create more space and make whatever ceiling you feel like is over your head the new floor and chase another new ceiling?
Well, let's just say that all my psychedelics that I do are outside of the United States. Let's just start off that way. But usually it's not a whole lot. Every quarter, maybe.
Yeah, it's
I'll
not
do
something that you can like, oh, I need to do this every weekend or every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, like I went to, the first time I did it, ayahuasca was May of 2017, and then I didn't do anything again until I did ayahuasca again, and that was November of 2018. So that was about a year and a half before I had done it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then since and that I did down at Rhythmia, which is down in Costa Rica. And
do you have a good experience there? I've heard great things about Rhythmia.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing. And I've sent probably 15 friends down there. Every one of them says they're, literally they're the best week of their lives. I don't have any affiliation with them. I don't get paid to say that, any of that type of stuff. But
you just want to share that gift once you experience it, right?
And here's the thing, man, like, what you find is that when something becomes very popular, a lot of like charlatans will pop out and say they're shamans, right?
Yeah.
And that's not good. Because once you do it, you realize that you really need someone there to assist you. You can't just do it on your own. And it's good to go to a place that's safe. And the reason why I recommend them is because of the fact that they are the first medically licensed ayahuasca facility in the world. And they are required to actually have doctors and EMS on staff in Costa Rica where they are for all the 4 ceremonies that you do down there. So for the average person, it's a lot easier to go to Costa Rica, to a beautiful place, than to go to the jungles of Peru that's, 5 days outside, and you have to take a little tiny boat, and people don't speak English. And you got to worry about jaguars coming out. You got to get bit by mosquitoes. Like, that's not what I want to do. Like, and most people don't want to do that. So for me, it's like, it's a safe place. It's beautiful. The people are amazing. And so I just recommend it because I've been there, and I can say that the facilities are great and everything they do is great. I think that for most people, it's easy to do it there.
Yeah.
So
that makes a lot of sense. Being in that comfortable space when you're doing that kind of work. My first retreat, after I did it and people were talking about the jungle and rats and open air huts and cockroaches, I was like, dude, I'm not bougie, but I'm way too bougie to be in a hut doing some shit like that.
Yeah, it's me too. Same thing. So like for me, man, it's just like and then, since then I've dove into mushrooms. I've done MDMA therapy sessions, which are amazing. I can't wait. They're going to be legalized within the next probably 9 months. I've had almost as much breakthrough during MDMA therapy sessions as I have doing ayahuasca, but there's no visions. So it's a psychedelic, but people get psychedelics and hallucinogens mixed up. Most psychedelics are hallucinogens, but psychedelic just means psyche means mind, delic means clear. So clear mind. So MDMA therapy sessions they're not hallucinogens, but it is a psychedelic. And it's just really like the downloads that you get from doing it's amazing. But what's great is it releases the serotonin in your brain, so that therefore it makes you feel really good. It makes you trust. And when you trust, you can talk to somebody openly about things that normally you're closed off to.
Mm.
And I think that's why it's going to be really good.
PTSD, depression, they're talking
Oh
about
my
all
God,
kinds of cool stuff for it.
everything. And
Yeah.
I've done 3 sessions of that, man. And they're incredible. I've
Wow.
done them with people, with people that I love too. And just the conversations that come from it. Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens when it's become fully legalized to use in a therapeutic sense. So,
and just so people know, we're not like Endori, like, hey, go on a bender and do X, Y, and Z.
No,
This is
definitely
like
not.
for people that are one, have done the work on themselves. Two, do your research. A lot of these things, I personally, I wasn't doing this for recreation. I was doing a lot of this for true work, and there's a lot of prep. There's a lot of respect that goes into these ceremonies and to these things. Yeah, it's the real deal. So what were some, I'm curious what, I've had some life-changing, altering experiences, maybe some takeaways that have really impacted you that you wish other people could maybe latch onto if they decide not to have these experiences. You can gift them with your own.
My biggest thing that I've gotten is that I had a control problem. So the first time I did ayahuasca was really hard, like really, really hard.
Same.
Like really hard. And I've heard hundreds of stories because I know a lot of people that have done them. And mine seems to be one of the worst out of all of them for the first one. But the reason why was because I had such a control problem. And once I finally gave up control and I was able to like get to the beautiful place, and my higher self was there, my intuition, whatever it is, God, whatever you want to call it, that I felt like I was speaking to, and it was giving me information. I was like, why did I have to go through that? And it said, because you have a control problem. And I said, well, why do I have a control problem? They said, because if you were to put one word over your entire childhood, the word would be uncertainty. And the reason, to give you backstory, the reason why my father was an alcoholic, he passed away when I was 15 years old from being an alcoholic. And so having an alcoholic father, there's a lot of uncertainty in every single day, every single moment of the day. And so the only way, and then it said, it's the only way to overcome uncertainties to try to control everything and everyone around you. And so since then, man, like my life has just been it's crazy. Cause like I used to try to control every little thing, and now I try to control almost nothing, just the things that I'm good at. And life's gotten better. Relationships have gotten better. My business is like 10x everything's, and it's like, if everything feels so much more effortless because I'm not trying to force anything.
Right.
I'm just kind of allowing it. And then I'm putting the right people in place to do the things that I think that there's people that are better than me at. And so I only do a few things in my business really well. And those are the only things that I actually do in my business.
Oh, I love that. That word right there, immediately, I had my first experiences. Well, the analogy I give people is, I felt like it was Rocky versus Apollo, and I was just getting my ass kicked the whole time. And it was because I was trying to control. And the word that came up for me at the very end was like surrender. And whether it's in your personal relationship, whether it's parenting, whether it's something going on in business, you can apply that context and word, I think, to so many things that in general, as human beings, we just want to control the outcome. We want to know, right? And when you can just surrender, so many beautiful things happen that would happen without you trying to control everything.
Yeah. I always tell people like that. One thing that I've really gotten back to is I've been more connected with nature, I think, because of it. When I was younger, I used to always be into nature, and I used to always sleep outside on the porch instead of in like I didn't have a bed. I slept on the couch when I was a kid. We had a 2-bedroom. My parents had their bedroom. My sister was 6 years older than me, so she always had her room. So I slept on the couch. And then, so instead of sleeping on the couch, I would sleep outside in the back porch on the couch that we had outside. And I stopped like being into nature. And as of recently, I've been so much more connected with it. And the thing that I look like, and I look at it and I learn a lot, because I'm like, man, everything in nature moves so like there is not one other, living species or being or plant or, animal that is constantly going all of the time. Like even if you take like a cheetah, which is the fastest animal on earth, it's like 99% of its day, it's doing nothing. It's just hanging out, and then it just takes off real quick for 30 seconds. It gets what it needs to, it eats it, and then it chills. And it's like everything in nature takes time and it goes slow, but nothing what's the phrase? Nothing is undone. Everything is done exactly the way it's supposed to be done in nature, perfectly, without forcing. Yet
Mm.
we're the only ones that force. And when you actually kind of just are like, you know what, I'm going to start allowing more and just see what happens. As weird and woo woo as it sounds, because I'm like super analytical. So the other side of my brain is like, shut the hell up. Like this is, it's like,
Yeah,
like
I'm the same
so
way.
I get it. Because there's people out there that are like, all right, dude, whatever, go meditate. That I'm still like that in my own head, where I was like, there's the two sides of me.
Yep.
That's like, come on, dude, you got to get some shit done today at the same time. Like I still do that, but at the same time, it's like I try to allow things versus forcing things. I also think that it's kind of like, you know, they say like the mind and the heart and all that stuff. Like I used to be way more in my head in thinking things. Now I'm like, I'm like, does this feel right?
Yeah.
I'll give you a perfect example, right? You know, I'm bringing on salespeople in my team, and it could have been a lot easier just to outsource sales. And I would have just had a sales team set up for me. I wouldn't have to manage them at all. I decided instead to bring on a sales director, hire on a couple salespeople. I have to do all of the training. So we're doing all of the trainings, taking hours and hours and hours,
Mm-hmm.
managing them, all of those things. But it felt right. And the reason why I think it felt right is because long-term, it makes more sense. So in the mind, it was like, man, like you should just go ahead and just outsource it. It would just make it so much easier for you. In like my heart and like my intuition, I was like, no, but like building on your own feels like the right thing to do. And I don't necessarily know why it's the right thing to do now, but I know within the next few years, it'll be like, oh, that's why. And it'll make a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, that makes total sense. As you have continued to expand your, business and your personal life and your, really just your skill set and mindset and everything in general, what are you paying attention to right now? What trends are interesting you that you're kind of studying on and you're maybe one or two steps ahead of that maybe other people might want to do a little research and keep it on as well?
So I hate social media, but social media is a means to an end. You
Why
know,
do you hate it? Just curious on you.
it's just,
I mean, I know
it's a lot
why.
of time, you know,
Yeah.
it's waste time. And so
Yeah.
I don't even, my girlfriend's like, did you see that thing I tagged you? And I'm like, no, like I don't check it. I
I don't
only
either.
do it for my own, you know, business and to get a message out there. But,
Yep.
you know, a lot of people are saying TikTok. I think TikTok is great. But what I think that for me and my business that I'm focusing the most on, like I've got Facebook up and running, it's down to a science. I've got Instagram up and running, it's down to a science. For me, it's actually LinkedIn. LinkedIn is probably going to be my biggest thing that I focus. Not probably, it will 100% be the thing I'm focusing on most this year. And I have a pretty good chance. I have a pretty good idea that we will do a lot of business just from LinkedIn alone. And the reason why is because the way I keep telling people is Facebook and Instagram. If you're selling a product, right? So, you know, you have entrepreneurs that are out there. Facebook and Instagram are great to grow a following, but you might get 1,000 followers, maybe one or two. Facebook and Instagram are like a shotgun. LinkedIn is like a sniper rifle, where it's like I can literally find my customers and what it is that they do right now and start, you know, connecting with them and, you know, having conversations. The only issue is I don't directly, you know, message people right away and
Right.
say, hey, you know, this, you know, here are my services, which is what a lot of people do on LinkedIn. I kind of go and get my message out there and have them start to engage with my stuff and raise their hands and say like, oh, I'm interested before I ever reach out. So instead of cold outreach, it's always warm outreach for me.
Yeah, I know Gary Vee is talking big on kind of LinkedIn being like Facebook a couple years back, and there's some
Is he?
great opportunity there. Yeah, he's been pounding that one hard recently. I've noticed that.
Yeah. Yeah. LinkedIn, man, it's I would say most of the people that are probably listening to this, LinkedIn might be their number one platform they should spend time on.
I like
I mean,
that.
I could grow, you know, I could help somebody grow 1 million people on Facebook and Instagram and teach them how to do that because I've done it. But it depends on like, do you want to grow your business or do you want to grow your following? Like there's a lot of people that I won't name names, but there's a lot of people that buy followers.
Yep.
And they think that customers are going to come from it. And I say it's really like, you know, there's no reason to do that because you could buy 1 million people. You have no idea where they live, how much money they have. If they're a potential client of yours, LinkedIn, you could put the exact same amount of money that you would buy into, figuring it out, hiring a VA and having them connect with all the right people. And then you just take it over when it gets to a certain point in the sales process.
I love that. For people that want to learn from you, where can they go? And obviously they got the podcast, but let's say they want to work in a little bit closer proximity to you. How do they go about doing that?
They could email me directly if they want to, rob@robdial.com. So it's ROBDIAL. And they can, I will definitely be the person that reads that, but what I'll probably do is connect them with with somebody on my team that could help them out.
Cool.
As far as if they're interested in going following or monetizing the following and that type of stuff.
Awesome. Well, we'll include all that in the show notes at millionairemindcast.com. Question for you: favorite video that you've made and why?
My favorite video is my most viral video that I've ever made. So I'm a college dropout, and I'm a proud college dropout.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That
was a good one.
I'll tell you this. One of the things that really bugs me the most is that people work jobs that they hate, right? And they spend the majority of their waking hours at a job. Like, that's just a fact that people will spend the majority of their waking hours at a job that they hate. And so I made this video and I researched it, like, what are the numbers? And 85% of people hate their jobs. That number is like 90 something percent, I think, or something like that in Japan or China. And the numbers are just like staggering, but they're going to spend the majority of their life. 85% of people are going to spend the majority of their life at a job that they hate. And so the video I made was called "Why Your Job's a Waste of Your Life." And basically I put, on a wall, someone's lifespan, like from 0 to 80 years old, because the average person lives about 80 years old right now, and how much of that time is at a job and how it can be a waste of their life. And at the end of it, I kind of summarized the whole thing by saying, like, listen, man, like, first off, I don't say it in the video, but I know that if someone were to do something that they're truly passionate about, they're probably going to make more money in the long term after they put the work in than they do at their job that they hate. Right. I don't even mention that, but one thing that I do say is it would be better to actually do something that you love and make less money at it. Because, people, one of the cop-outs I hear from a lot of people is like, oh, I do this because I have a family to support. And I'm like, that's bullshit. Like, that you're blaming your children for why you hate your job. Basically, if you really take a step back, that's what you're doing. You're saying, oh, I only do this because I have a family to support. I'm like, well, would you rather, work a job that you hate and see have your children see you do that? Because as Alan Watts says, if you do it, then they're going to do it. Then their children are going to do it because they follow in their parents' footsteps 90% of the time. And he says it's like all retch and no vomit. Like, nothing ever happens. It's always the same thing. So it's like, it's better to have your children see you do something that you love and make less money, because you're not going to starve, but to make less money than it is to have a job that you hate and your children see you not show up to your fullest as a parent because you're tired from work, or because you're exhausted because your boss yelled at you, because you're not fully engaged, or whatever it is. So for me, my favorite video is that one. And it seemed like it was most people's favorite video because it's at like 94 million views at this point.
Dude, it's amazing.
Right
yeah. I was checking. I saw it when you released it, and I was just doing a quick little recap on your YouTube channel and some of your cool videos. And dude, you put out some great stuff. And I know a lot of people want to do video, maybe scared to do video. Maybe they don't know how to do video. If you were to pick, or give maybe 3 tips on how to put out some good content, some good video for someone that's maybe just starting to get some momentum behind themselves or wanting to put out a message, what do you share with them?
First thing I say is that the quality doesn't matter all that much. It's got to be at least decent. But if anybody has an iPhone and they have, decent lighting, which, like if you can see me, the people are watching, if they're watching a video, there's literally just natural light hitting me. Like, natural light is the best light. You don't have to buy other stuff. So if you have a phone, there's a pretty good chance you can make a great video right now. The only thing that I say is that the thing that really matters the most, like when I'm making a video, the first thing I ask myself is, what am I trying to make somebody feel? Like, that's it. When most people make videos, they're trying to get to the end result of, what am I trying to get them to do after? What am I trying to get them to buy? All of these things. Mine is, what am I trying to make somebody feel from this? And so that's the first thing that I always ask as soon as I'm writing it. And I say, what am I trying to make them feel? And then the second thing is, what is the opening statement? So literally, I can still tell you, because I bookend basically my videos. So I have, what am I trying to make them feel? I know that. So that's the overarching theme that I'm going for. And then I start with the beginning and I figure out exactly what the opening is going to be to make it a really strong opening. And then the ending. And then I fill it in the inside. So it's like, I can still tell you my most viral video, even though I shot it like 2.5 years ago. The very first line that I say is, in case you didn't know, one day you're going to die. And I'm going to show you why the job that you have that you hate is a waste of your life. Like, that is word for word exactly what I say in the video. And I still remember it because I worked on it for so long.
That's an attention grabber right there.
Yeah, it was an attention grabber because people act like they're not going to die, right? Like they get a second at bat. And so I wanted to open up like, you're going to die. And if you hate your job, you're wasting your life, right? And then at the end, it became into somewhat of a motivational message. Like, the last thing I say is, you weren't built to survive, you were built to thrive. And so it was like, I always create my videos with, what am I trying to make somebody feel? How am I going to start it? How am I going to end it? And then I fill the inside of it. And after that,
it's perfect.
And I spend it, man, like people don't realize the hardest part about what I do is people are like, do you wing it? And when I'm on a stage or like right now, I'm winging it. But if I have to make a 3-minute video, I could spend 3 hours switching the vid, can I say this better? I have this one sentence. Can I say this better? Is there another way that I could say it? I go through, and when we're creating titles, like my videographer and I will send like 10, she'll send her 5 to me. I'll send my 5 to her. And then we switch them around until we come up with what we feel is the perfect title. So it's like, it's not like we just throw it up there and hope something does well. Like we have it down to a science, but also we really put the work in to get a message out there that is well crafted for every single person. I try not to repeat phrases. I try not to repeat words, like all of those things. How can I make this sentence shorter and more powerful? Like I ask myself that all of the time.
I love that. Well, and I think that's a perfect example that exemplifies why you're as successful as you are. The person who popped up into my head was Kobe Bryant, and details. That's what he said, right? Like details, inches are what separate the legends from maybe the champions or the people that are great or excellent. But dude, it shows in your work, brother, and amazing stuff that you're putting out, the value that you're adding. I want to make sure that people know how to get a hold of you, where to follow you, your social media handles, your website, the podcast. What's the best place for them to get more of Rob Dial?
Well, if they're listening to this, they're probably a podcast listener. So it's called The Mindset Mentor. And there's, it comes out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. There's freaking 720 something episodes at this point in time. So they got a lot they could go back and listen to if they want. And then anywhere on social media, if they just put Rob Dial, ROBDIAL, onto Facebook, it'll pop up. On Instagram, it's Rob Dial JR, Rob Dial Jr. And I mean, if you put me anywhere, I'm gonna pop up. There's a pretty good chance that
You got a good footprint, my man.
Yeah, I'm out there. You'll see it. Just Google me and you'll find me. That's for sure.
As you get to the end of your road, you look back in your rearview mirror. What are some of the things that you hope that you see in order for you to rest easy?
Man, you know what? That's a great question. The reason why is because I used to think that legacy mattered to me.
Yeah.
I don't really care. I don't care what people say about me after I die. It's not a big deal. Like I don't need my name on something. I don't need, my name to be like remembered. The only thing that I really care about is that I did everything that I worked the shit out of this life. Like that's I want to be remembered of. Like this dude went all out. There was nothing more that he could have done. Like my biggest fear is to get to the end of my life, like, oh God, I wish I would have done that thing.
Yeah. And
that fear is what actually pushes me to continue to, if people want to go through real personal growth, put videos on the internet. You'll see some real personal growth when you start reading the comments, So like for me, it's like, I have to push through those fears of, am I going to be judged? Because I fear the fear of regret more than the fear of hard work. And so for me, it's just like, he laid it all on the table. He tried to do as much he could for other people. And, he made an impact while he was here. Cause if my name lives on, doesn't matter to me. I won't know anyways. But if I impact people and that lives on, that's what matters to me the most.
Rob Dial, appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, of course, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Well, that wraps up this week's episode. Hopefully you enjoyed that interview and got some massive value from it. Just one thing can completely transform the path that you are on. And if you did, be sure to share it with somebody else. Be sure to give this gift to somebody else that needs to hear this today. And also be sure to tag our guests to let them know what they shared was appreciated, that it impacted you in some way. If you haven't entered our monthly giveaway of over $1,100 in prizes each and every month, we pick one listener. Be sure to head over to go.millionairemindcast.com and check out all the amazing prizes in that contest and giveaway and enter yourself. Also, if you and I haven't connected yet, be sure to text me. You can text me at 844-447-1555. Yes, I answer and respond to every text individually. I personally love connecting with all the listeners of the show. I love hearing what big goals and what big dreams you're marching towards. And most importantly, I love knowing more about how I can support you. So if I haven't gotten to connect with you yet, don't be shy. I want to connect with you. I want to hear what you're up to. Text me at 844-447-1555. Last, be sure to head over to therichlifeacademy.com to check out all the amazing free and paid products that we offer to our Millionaire Mindcast family, from one-on-one coaching with me to courses from our guests, all kinds of free content and downloads, upcoming event info on how you can connect with us live in person at some of our events and workshops, and all kinds of other valuable free tools and resources to help you on your wealth building journey. Be sure to check all those out at therichlifeacademy.com. If you have any questions, just text me at 844-447-1555. But if you're truly serious about taking your life, your business, your wealth to the next level, you're not just looking to keep learning, but you want to start taking action and have accountability and support and a community around you, then getting involved inside our community and getting in proximity to other people just like you is going to be the accelerator you need to get to that next level. It's going to be an absolute must. You can do that over at therichlifeacademy.com. With that being said, until next time, keep investing in yourself and your wealth on your march to $1 million and beyond. Cheers, my friends.